Welcome to the Real CP Show. I'm your host, CP. And today's topic, this woman Perv. That was a former teacher or a combination of teacher director of this type of program at this Catholic school, in which she had sexual relationship with an underage boy. Yes. And then also have a bonus one that I just happened to think about that and saw something else right before I was about to do this show. I said, I'm going to go ahead and include a bonus one as a timepiece purpose, because in this system of supremacy, which is the most awesome mental manipulation force that has ever existed, they thrive on chaos. And one of their also tools they make sure to use is white feminism, which is a very deadly mental manipulation force that is perpendicular to supremacists, right? This is why you keep having this white feminism, misogyniness, anti-maleness situation, and then numbers of some gullible males and some naive males that sit there and fight for numbers of women's empowerment, while at the same time don't understand they are putting a nail in their own mentalities and sitting there minimizing males' issues, males' problems. They minimize the numbers of women who hate the guts of males. You see how their system is brilliant. But getting to this particular topic of this woman, before I'm going to show this video, I will just read it very quickly. This particular Ohio counselor, she admits to sexually abusing a student in her classroom and then sending him, this underage boy, nude photos of her. Emily Nutley, 43. Let me say this again. Emily Nutley, 43, of Cincinnati, pleaded guilty to having sex, sex, with a 17-year-old student at least once in her classroom after school. But at the same time, if this was reversed, oh, you best believe there will be outrage of left and right, how we must protect these innocent girls from these pervert males that are teachers and coaches. We got to protect these girls from them. But since over and over again, these examples of perv women in these teaching positions, the one this applies to, right? It's almost like you got people do this. Well, yeah, Well, yeah, well, they're like this. They see nothing, they hear nothing, and they know nothing. It's on purpose because they want to minimize women pervness. They want to minimize women criminality because it is an agenda going on. But let's go ahead and play this particular video. So let me go ahead and share this screen. Give me one moment here. Huh. That's the one? Hold on, that one? Okay, looks like here. Make sure this is right. And then hopefully I won't forget. I want to read you some comments. There we go. All right.
I know a lot of you have followed for the last several months a former St. X High School employee admitting today she had sex with a student.
So 43-year-old Emily Nutley pleaded.
So
43-year-old.
She had sex with a student. Admitting today she had sex with a student. Admitting today she had sex with a student. Admitting today she had sex with a student.
So 43-year-old Emily Nutley pleaded guilty today to sexual battery charges, and the conviction could land her in prison. WLWT News 5's Karen Johnson is live in Springfield Township to explain the case. Hey, Karen.
Yeah, hey, Chris. Emily Nutley had been facing 6 counts of sexual battery, but today she agreed to plead guilty to 2 of the counts. And in exchange for her admitting her guilt, the remaining 4 charges were dropped.
State of Ohio versus Emily Nutley.
Emily Nutley went from the director of academic services at St. X High School to a convicted felon now facing prison time.
And how would you describe your work career?
Long, successful.
Her 18-year career came to an end last year after she was indicted on sexual battery charges.
During her employment, and specifically on November 19th and December 8th of 2023, she engaged in sexual conduct with a student of hers. The student was a 17-year-old male.
Today, for the first time publicly, Nutley admitted to the accusations.
Did you engage in sexual conduct with a 17-year-old male on those 2 dates?
Yes.
Each of those with a 17-year-old engaged in sexual conduct with.
Nutley admitted to the accusations.
Did you engage in sexual conduct with a 17-year-old male on those 2 dates?
Yes.
Each of those are a felony in the 3rd degree. How do you plead? Each of those are a felony in the 3rd degree. How do you plead as to those 2 counts?
Investigators say Nutley had been helping the teen with schoolwork, then began having contact with him outside of school hours. They say Nutley sent the teen nude photos and sexually explicit messages. Contact with him outside of school, then began having contact with him outside of school hours. They say Nutley sent the teen nude photos and sexually explicit messages, then began to have a sexual relationship with the teen, both on and off school property. Today, Judge Jennifer Branch accepted Nutley's change of plea and convicted her of the 2 felonies.
Do you agree to accept whatever penalty I impose up to the maximum allowed by law?
Yes, Your Honor.
And Nutley will be sentenced June 10th. She faces anywhere from probation up to a maximum of 10 years in prison. She will also have to register as a sex offender.
But you'll have personnel that do just like this. You have personnel that do this. They see nothing, they hear nothing, and they know nothing. And this is why these things continuously happening. Besides some of these warped, mental, deranged numbers of women that unfortunately in these positions of authority and teaching, the ones that this applies to. And it is pathetic that these things are allowed to continue to keep going on, right? Where's the national outrage that we must protect these boys? Where's the outrage at that? Because if this would have been over and over about male teachers or male coaches, and they were sexually harassing and doing these bad things to numbers of girls in junior high, high school, right? Oh, there will be national outrage, and you best believe political pressure to get these laws passed. But of course, since it's dealing with certain numbers of women pervs, right? You have certain numbers of women in certain positions in society that, and they sit there control certain numbers of males in certain politicalness and some other organizations and some other places. Oh, the ones who know who they are, right? They tell others what to do, and they're like, no. Yeah, we know it's, yeah, well, I guess. But no, we need to pay attention to those bad males, right? You see how this disgusting game goes. Right? Because again, if this would have been males doing this weekly upon weekly, there would have to be a gigantic reformation in school, right? But since it's again males, since again it's the women who are doing this left and right, these positions, it's minimized. Right. But so let's go ahead and get to this other particular one. Oh, you know what? Before I forget, let me read some of these comments and some of these things I was reading about. One of them says, all these guys, oh God, they talking about, oh, they would have wanted this at that age. You see those infantile, childish tactic. I've seen numbers of, comments from certain numbers of males. Oh my goodness, I wish that would have been my teacher. Right. And this is again why numbers of women don't respect numbers of males. Right? In a collective way. They'd be like, oh my goodness. Another one says, when you're neglected by your spouse, because she was trying to blame her spouse, and she's married with several kids. She's married with several kids. And then trying to pull oh my goodness, well, he's neglecting her, right? No, she's a bossness, right? Type person, right? You can almost feel the bossness in her aura, right? Where she controls the dynamic in the family or the former family, right? You can't tell her what to do if you're a male, right? Because if you try to, you're a sexist. Oh, see, I know those games up and right? And they get caught like this. The only way they admit it is because it's kind of very right in our faces. And many of them just deny it as well. And, and then some of them get, a slap on the hand and, compared to what a male would have gotten or get a male that have done some similar things. Oh my good. They throw the book at him and you got people want to castrate him. But when a pervert woman does this, well, this is pathetic. So anyway, when you're neglected by your spouse, you go and find someone your own age and have an affair. You don't commit adultery as a teacher with a younger student and blame it on your husband, right? The accountability, boy, is kryptonite to see accountability. Well, she admitted, go to Hades. Oh, you best believe she was in denial mode at that beginning part, so stop. Another person said, it's got nothing to do with loneliness while married. A deviant is a deviant. Another person says, no way to belittle or minimize whatever this thing is. Something about gender withstanding, something I'm talking about. If the roles were reversed and men were going after pubescent schoolgirls at the same alarming frequency, the national outrage would be immediately or immeasurable and justifiable. So, right? I hear female predators normalized by this is another comment. I hear female predators, pervs basically, normalized by society are much bigger of a problem in numbers than society and media has led us to believe. Let me read that again. They understand. They fear female predators, female pervs, normalized by society are much bigger of a problem in numbers than society and media has led us to believe. Yes, of course, because it's minimized. What this other one says, adult men who carelessly laugh about it need to realize not all infants, children, and teen boys wish to be abused and most likely find it confusing, scarring, and destructive. Yes. See, they think it's funny. It's like the thing with the horrendousness of RAPE. Yes. They act like boys or males can't be RAPE by women. And it's disgusting, right? It's an archaic thought pattern in thinking the only way of RAPE is by a penisness going inside a woman's private part. Oh my goodness, you can't do that, or whatever other organ. But at the same time, how it is all, that's a different topic, but I'll just say this fastly. But at the same time, this epidemicness, as far as in certain parts of, I won't go into all that, certain facilities, when you hear numbers of these males that get RAPE'd in certain facilities and even boys' facilities, right? There's still no outrage, right? Because they're not dealing with women, since women don't have a penisness, right? In prison, and they can't be penicizing another woman in her buttocks, right? Unless they do some kind of sodomy, right? Which we ain't play that little tactic. Another one says, every week there is a new story about this, and no one is acknowledging there is a problem. Let me add a major problem. Unbelievable. Let me repeat this again, too. She's about 43 years old. The teenager was 17 years old. Now, vice versa this now. 43-year-old male teacher, director, whatever he is, and stuff like that. Oh, the little girl teenager, she's 17. Oh, excuse me, she's 17 years old. Well, she's old enough. Oh, don't you know how many males will come out to him? Right? But since it's vice versa, well, how does that sound in a double standard? How does it sound?
I thought it was dumb. Maybe you're right.
That's not a funny thing, but it is a thing of, it sounds stupid, the hypocrisy of it, that you're going to sit there and try to come out to some males that have done some things, right, to some students, but at the same time, when it's perv women in these kind of positions of teaching, coaching, etc., then it's like, well. And feminists knows this on that. So this last article, let me share this screen, because this is a bonus one. Again, I wasn't even thinking about this, so I happened to come across this one right here. 2 for 1 today. See, can you make sure you see that? Yeah, it looks like you see that one. Now, you see what this says, April the 9th, 2025. A teacher that was accused of sexually assaulting a boy, 15 years old, claims husband knew about it and that the teen was a stalker. Oh my goodness. You see the delusion tactic of no accountability. Here's the person's face. Look at that. Now, unfortunately, there are some males that are hard up and their self-confidence is very low, because unfortunately, that's a whole messed up problem with certain numbers of males who are settling for things like this. Ugh. Said the Illinois teacher accused of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old student boy says her husband was aware of the boy whom she alleged referred to as a stalker. Now she wants to sit there and throw him under the bus, where also she sit there and chose to sleep with this underage boy, this perv woman. Christina Formella, whatever her name is, a 30-year-old grown woman, special education teacher from Downers Grove, Illinois, is charged with 2 counts of aggravated criminal sexual abusiveness and 1 count of criminal sexual assault against a minor, say authorities. Formella was arrested after authorities say the victim's mother found text messages between her son, 15 years old, and Formella that alleged details of sexual relationship, a claim she denied. Even when the proof is right there, it is something warped by certain numbers of women, the ones it applies to, that something is deranged, right? And then you have some other women say, it's not all, stop, play your game with somebody else. That's logical sense. All men ain't bad either, right? But you got people love talking about toxic masculinity and misogyny. So go play that stuff with somebody else. A person knows if they're doing something wrong or they don't. If they don't know, then they doing wrong, then they're messed up anyway. So talked about how the documents also alleged that upon being questioned, some documents, well, court documents, said documents in which it's alleged that Formella, who is married and also worked as a soccer coach at the school, kept a memoir of her phone's notes out, detailing her apparent anger of the underage teen. The document also alleged that upon being questioned by enforcement, Formella referred to the teen as a stalker and said that her husband was aware of the teen's existence. Formella denied ever having sex with the boy teen minor, according to the documents. Throughout her interview, Formella, this woman Perv, tried to paint the victim, the 15-year-old boy child, as her stalker. Wow. And claimed that her husband wasn't worth finna throw her husband on the bus. Right? And then run them over back and forth. And then say he's the problem. But oddly enough, her husband told these people that he knows nothing about the victim, the 15-year-old boy child minor, beyond his status as a soccer player. And he confirmed that he does not go through Formella's phone. In the memoir, Formella allegedly wrote that the boy cheated on her and called him disgusting, but she just said she denied it. Wow. We will never, ever be together again. Formella alleged wrote, I'm not a second choice. I'm the best thing you ever had, even with all her mistakes. Wow. This is the disgusting looking perv who's in the position of authority as a special education teacher and a soccer coach. And she sit there and had sexual relationships with a 15-year-old boy. And then try to throw her husband on the bus and act like that he knew the boy. And he said he did not know beyond knowing he plays soccer. But again, just believe women, right? And this is what white feminism do every day. When you hear people talk about just believe women. But let's see what the greatness of Barney Fife from the Great and the Griffin shows. Let's see what he says about this nonsense that continues to be allowed by certain numbers of males and definitely certain numbers of women who are pretending it really doesn't happen the way it's happening. But especially for certain numbers of males who act like, well, whatever, instead of demanding equality and protection for boys, right? Just like, the laws and policies are gigantic to sit there and be trying to help out girls, right? From a number of these bad males, right? We want the same equality of protection for these little boys in these schools from these little predatory women pervs. What do you say about that, Barney Fife?
I say this calls for action, and now, nip it in the bud.
Say it again, Barney.
I say this calls for action, and now, nip it in the bud.
Thank you for tuning in to the Real CP Show.